In this session, we'll learn how do we create a pie chart in Tableau. Okay. So what is a pie chart? Pie chart is a chart which is in the shape of a circle, okay, which is divided into slices, where each slice represents the individual dimension values. It is mainly used when you want to showcase the distribution of the total values. So that means we have a total sales. For that total sales, I want to see the individual items contribution in the form of percentage. Okay. Used to showcase the percentage distribution for the total value. Okay. Let us practically look into it. How do we go for this? So let me go to my Tableau public. Okay. Here, let me go to the data tab here. So now, see, if I have to create a pie chart, what is the requirement? We need to have at least one dimension, one discrete value, and one measurable value. So I'll just take the measurable value. I'll take the sales. Dimension, I'll take a segment. I want to see the segment wise how the sales has been performed. Okay. So what I do, after selecting, I've just selected the whole control key and selected the, the segment and the slicer. That is one dimension and one measure. That is, I have selected the segment and the sales. Segment is my dimension, sales is my measure. And I'll hit on this particular, pie. As soon as you hit on this pie, you can see a pie chart gets created. Okay. So now let us take it to the full screen here, entire view from the standard. Now, this is a pie chart, and we can see the legend. This is the consumer, which has done almost, when you see, look into the pie, is more than 50% of the sales is done by the consumer alone. And we see the corporate, more than 25%, almost nearing to 30% plus is done by the corporate. And a small percentage of the sales has been done by the home office. Okay. So now I want to give the exact number, how much percentage has been done and which is that. Okay, just showing the legend. I want to show the name of the category here. So that is the segment name and percentage. I want to display this. So for that, what I do, I have to use the labels. I'll take category name, segment name. So into my labels, so telling that, okay, this is consumer, this is corporate, and this is home office. I also want to know what is the sales value. I'll just select the sales, add to the labels. So you can see that is showing consumer has done a sales of 11,61,000, whereas home office has done a sales of 4,29,000. Corporate has done a sales of 7,06,000. Now, I don't want to see this particular numbers, but instead of this particular numbers, I want to see this in the form of percentage. I want to see this in the form of percentage. If I have to see this in the form of percentage, so what is that I will do is, I will use a quick table calculations. Okay. So I'll just go to the sum of sales, which I have added to the label here. And you can see it is a text. Sum of sales is the text. I'll just click on that. As soon as you click, we can see there is a quick table calculations. From there, we have this percentage of the total. When you click on this, you can see it automatically shows as a percentage of the total. Okay. So now we can see that consumer has done a sales of 50%, 50.56%. Corporate has done a sales of 30.7%. And home office almost 18.7%. That is almost 19% sales has been done. So that is how the contribution is. Okay, we are able to analyze this. Okay, fine. This is about your pie chart. So this is how we create a pie chart. So mainly you see the pie chart is when you sum up these percentages, you'll get 100%. So that means, so it says the percentage distribution for the grand total. Yeah, how they have been done. So this is where exactly you use the pie chart. See, one thing is we always recommend use a pie chart when for those dimension which has less number of values. Okay, like segment, we have only 3 values. Okay, pie chart is good. When it comes to a region, we have 4 values. Is good. So take only those dimension which has around 6 to 7 is a good practice, as we say. So maximum 6 to 7. More than that, you might not get a more informative charts because it has to be divided in small slices. So what I mean to say is when a pie chart when any dimension has more number of values, I don't recommend for the pie chart. So it is recommended when you go to the maximum 6 to 7 dimensions. Okay, fine. So that is about this pie chart. So thank you. In this session, we'll learn about tree map in Tableau. What is a tree map? Tree map represents the values in the form of rectangle boxes. The size and the arrangement of the rectangle boxes represents the measurable value. Means the bigger is the rectangle box, is the higher is the measurable value. The smaller rectangle box will be the lower measurable value. And not only that, based on the arrangement also. So when you see it is in the top, what is it, top left is a high value and the bottom right is a lower value. Where do we use this one? We use this particular tree maps when you want to present the hierarchical data. Hierarchical data is, okay, a region, under region we have a state-wise sales, or category, under each category the subcategories distribution. Okay, I want to look for this. So that is where exactly we use this particular tree map. Let us practically get into and we'll see how exactly we'll create a tree map. Okay, so I've just created this. Let me recreate it. See, if you have to create a tree map, the first thing what you need to do is, so when you look into this one, for the tree map, the basic requirement is we should have at least one dimension and one measure. So I will take a region and I'll select the sales. Okay, a region is my dimension, the blue color, and the sales is my measurable value. So we need one dimension and measure. And you can see as soon as you select this one dimension and one measure, all those charts which can be created with one dimension and measures are been highlighted, others are been grayed out. Now I want a tree map. So which shows, this is this one, which has a collection of rectangle boxes. I just click on this. As soon as you click on this, you can see a tree map is being created. And you see that the west is standing in the top, okay, and the south is in the right bottom. And we have west with the bigger font. So that clearly says, okay, west is something like, leading, okay, a region which is having the highest sales. And when you see the west and east, they have almost the same sized box. The size of this particular box is the same in the case of west as well as in the case of the east region. But I can see that based on the placement, I can say this is the first position and this is the second position. If it is in the top is the higher value, bottom is the lower value. When you compare with left and right, okay, left will have the higher value, this will have the lower value. Okay, so that means west has a higher value than the central, also it has a higher value than the east region. If you want to display the labels, what is the sales value? You can just display, I can just take the sales value into the labels. You can see it just shows me west has done a sales of 7,25,000, whereas east is just 6,78,000, whereas central has done 5,01,000 and so on. Okay, fine, this is clear. The next thing what I want is, I want to say under each region, there are many states. Okay, how the states is being contributed for the region. I want to look for that. That means in the west region, what are the state sales has been contributed? I want to look for that. And the east region, what are the states are there? I want to see that sales and the contribution whether it's, okay, which state has given the highest sales for that particular region. Okay, which state has done the lower sales in that region. I want to have those kind of studies. So what I do, I want a state. I'll take the state here and I'll add this to the labels. I'll take the state and add to the labels. So as soon as you add the state to the label, you can see that, okay, that means under west region, all the states are coming here. Under east region, all the states are there. And central region, all the states. South region, these are the states. Okay. So in the labels, you can see west, California, this is sales. West, this one is the sales. Okay. So now what I want is, instead of repeating this west, 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 again, east, east, east. So I can take this particular, the color, the label, what is there for the text, that is a region. So I'll just try to place this into the color. So I can show the color differences. So instead of repeating that as a label here, so I'm showing as a legends. So this is your central region, this is your east region, south region, and the west region. And we see that the west region is in the highest quadrant, it's the leader quadrant. Okay, so has done the highest sales. But out of this particular west region highest sales, we can see that the highest contribution is there from the California. So when you see, this is the total sales of the west region. California alone has done almost more than 70% of the sales is done by California alone. Okay, so more than 70% of the total sales is done by California alone. And we can see again, Washington also has done a big contribution. I can say around another 15%. That means almost 85% plus sales is done by the California and Washington from this to this one itself. And apart from that, see, Arizona is just only 35,000, Colorado 32,000. So you can see this is 4,000, this is 1,600. So this is small values. Okay, we have it. something like this. So we can see that in the West region, so we have the maximum contribution coming from the California, and that too we can see it's more than 50%. I can say 60 to 70% of the contribution is done from the California alone. And Washington again has done a very big contribution. Okay, not as that as this one, but relatively a good contribution, but so less or like small. And when you look into this particular what I say East region, in the East region again we see that New York has contributed almost 50% of the sales is done by New York alone. And then we have the second highest, third highest, and so on. And we see that in the West region, okay, or we say Central region, we have the maximum cost contribution from the Texas, but we don't have a kind of outliers what we see it in the West and the East. So we see that West and the East, so they are in the leader quadrant because of they have some kind of a very popular state. So West has California with it, East has New York in it. So they have contributed the highest sales. But when you see the Central, okay, Texas has done the highest sales, but not like very outlier value is not there. 1,70,000. Then we have Illinois and then Michigan, so which is 80 and 76,000 respectively. Okay, and then we see that South region. So almost every states you don't have any kind of outlier, but still Florida has done the highest sales. Second is Virginia, and the third is North Carolina, and so on. So this is how they contribution. So is mainly we can see two information here. So which region is done the highest sale? That is one information. And second information is within each region, we are able to see the state-wise how the contribution is done. So we are able to get this multiple informations. So this is where exactly we use a tree map. Okay. Thank you for this.